Hello, it's Peter. Today we're gonna talk about the vertical video. So actually it will be kind of a battle between me and the gal, but not just an ordinary gal. Between me and...
Premiere Gal.
I will toss the coin, it's 1 Polish zloty. And if it's heads, then Kelsey will be the advocate for vertical video. And if the other way around, I'll be the advocate for vertical video.
Sounds good.
Let's do it!
Let's flip it. Okay, so what does that mean? Now I'm an advocate for landscape video and Peter's advocate for vertical.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, but before we start, can you say something about your channel? What is it about? Who is it for, and so on?
Sure. So just like Peter, I am a cinephile. I love films. I went to school for film, and I kind of fell in love with teaching and helping people understand how to edit when I was in college. And while I didn't work professionally in tutorial making before YouTube, I kind of just got into it and I discovered it along the way. So I created Premiere Gal in August of 2016, and ever since then I just sort of built it up, and now I'm doing that full time. So it's just youtube.com/premieregal, and you can find resources for video editing, reviews, and just production in general. Thanks for having me here, Peter.
Yeah, awesome, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's
All right, let's do it. Let's let the battle begin. I'm feeling confident. I am feeling confident. I didn't want vertical.
Okay, let me start it. Okay,
sounds good.
So, vertical. It is a new trend, and I know that many people will say something like, you know, video used to be horizontal only and it will only be horizontal. But to be honest, right now we're in this kind of times that we use cell phones, tablets and so on all of the time. And actually, I think when we talk about the online video, then the way the audience consume it is mostly vertical for a lot of niches. Like for example, family vlogging or so on. A lot of people watch these things only on mobile phones. So I really think it makes sense to, to plan the recording, just to record the way so it looks good as a vertical already.
Yeah, I could see that point being valid in terms of like for personality driven videos where the person is mainly in frame. But with landscape, you get a lot, landscape, same as horizontal, you get more landscape, literally, get more space to work with, so it's good for more like cinematic experiences. But I do agree to the point that vertical is a new trend, and it has been around for a while, as you said. I mean, people have been using these phones, and before people were like, don't shoot vertical because then we can't put it in our video, but now it's becoming that trend. But I think I still prefer landscape in the sense that you have more real estate to work with and you can show more, especially if you're doing product reviews. If your product is bigger than that width, you have to think more creatively about it. Another point I have for landscape that we were talking about earlier is that it's owned by Google, YouTube, and that's the primary landscape real estate right there. And so when you're searching on Google for something, that video can pop up. So if you're a YouTuber, it's an advantage because you have Google on your side.
Yeah, okay, that's true, but it makes me think about few things. So you're right, Google is on your side, but on the other hand, like the competition on Google and YouTube is huge, and this IGTV thing, it's new. I'm sure it's not successful yet. But it will be there one day. Is the space you can actually, have an advantage in from the start. So that's one thing. And the other thing, I agree that horizontal video is very often is better for composition reasons. Yeah, it's because the ground is horizontal itself. Yeah. It makes much easier to try to compose your image in the horizontal aspect ratio. But on the other hand, in your part of the video on your channel, we'll talk about the constraints. To some extent, it is the constraint you're putting on yourself, and constraints always makes you more creative person and like develop your creativity much deeper, much stronger. So that's the plus for the vertical video.
As somebody that's in the debate, I always like to go with a positive. So I do agree with certain, you know, aspects of your argument. I do believe that creativity can flourish under constraints. However, I think that time, especially when you have a client, is already a constraint that you have. And if you have most of cameras out there, if you want to shoot with a mirrorless or a DSLR camera and not your iPhone vertically, then, you know, you're going to have to scale up and adjust all of those shots to create your vertical video, which takes more time. And ultimately, as a video editor, it already takes so much time. So if you're shooting already in landscape, you know, you can edit quicker and you can get your product done faster. And I think that, yes, some clients want you to make a version vertical as well, but if you can say like landscape is better, as I mentioned before, because it'll come up in your search engine if that's what you're going for, then I think that landscape is better in the sense that you can get your edit done faster.
Okay, actually let me add to that, because because actually YouTube, of course, uses vertical aspect ratio as well, right? It just exported as a vertical video, and it's horizontal if you have a horizontal screen with the black bars on the side, but it's vertical if you have the vertical screen. So, you know, it's not the advantage of horizontal video. It works both for horizontal and vertical video as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Are you done or no?
No, I'm not.
Interruption from landscape right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically what I wanted to say was, going back to the history of the cinematic experience, cameras were created to basically mimic how we see as people. So the lens is trying to act like our eyes. And we see, as we mentioned before, vertically, we almost see like a panoramic because of the sides. We don't see vertically. So it almost completely interrupts the whole notion of what a cinematic experience is when you're doing vertical. I understand vertical for short stories. I think it's great. You're on the go. You're holding it naturally vertically, okay? I agree with that. I can say vertical all the way that way. But when it comes to creating a cinematic vlog, a film, you want to sort of have that viewer feel like they're inside of that person's head or that point of view. So I think that that's why landscape will always be that way, if that makes sense. But for online video stories, vertical, I buy down.
Actually, there's one more pro for vertical video I wanted to mention. You know, many people try to mimic that VHS look, like for stylistic reason, yeah? And I do think that even if, for some reason, vertical video will be like, I don't know, people will forget about it someday, even if, then still, the vertical video, it's kind of connects to the emotion. It's a stylistic choice you may want to choose for your creation, for your film. So it will be always there. And one more thing to that, you know, aspect ratios always evolve. Like it has been happening for years, yeah? So we don't know which aspect ratio will...
Seriously? How? Like, seriously?
We work with constraints.
I think we can use it, actually.
That was so funny. She didn't even know. And we're speaking English, so she probably doesn't know.
Yeah. Anyway, let me continue. So, the aspect ratios evolve and they will evolve. We don't know how will it work in like 50 years, because there will be, I'm sure there will be professional cameras that will shoot vertical as a default setting. And it may or may not, like you know, be the thing, but that's one thing to consider. So
yeah, I feel like I'm not a very good debater because I'm agreeing with everything that Peter's saying. But I think that, you know, obviously there's also 360 video, and that's something that we haven't even got into in this debate, but people can now shoot vertical 360s where you are limited for that first instance, but then you can swipe or turn and then you see that whole new world around you. So,
true.
You know, I think it really depends on the context at the end of the day. Yeah. I think for YouTube, for me, like, I think I'm not that lazy. I'm fine with just flipping my hand. A lot of people say, oh, people don't want to turn their hand. I'm like, really? No, I turn my hand all the time. It's no problem, you know? So I think, you know, I want to feel like I'm seeing, if I'm watching a personality, I want to see as much of their life as possible and engage with them. While I do agree there's that intimate feeling of holding that camera, you get that same feeling when you're doing with your standard mirrorless camera shooting landscape format, when you're using your Joby, GorillaPod, or anything else to get that sort of vlogger feel. So at the end of the day, it depends on your platform. If you're going full in, jumping full into IGTV, great, then shoot vertical, you know, but try not to shoot on a landscape because it's just going to take more time to edit it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So actually, I think the point we're trying to make, because I do agree with Kelsey as well, and the point we're trying to make is that, you know, both horizontal and vertical has its like limitations, has its audience, and so you always need to consider like what's your stylistic choice you want to make, what's your audience like, what do they use to watch your content. You need to, for example, you can walk into, you can have a look into YouTube analytics and check what is the percentage of people that uses the mobile phone to watch your content, right?
Right.
And so on. So the both like vertical and horizontal aspect ratios have the future. Yeah, that's something I think that no one can argue with. And if people do argue, I think it's kind of, I think they do kind of forget that everything can be used if it's used for a reason.
Exactly, and I agree. I think looking at your analytics and your content and what you do, like for me, I think right now over 75% are desktop users for my audience. That's because it's tutorial heavy.
Exactly.
So people are on their desktops editing, you know, they want to follow along and they want to do that. But if you're just a vlogger, maybe vertical will actually work for you, but for my content, landscape makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. The same holds true for me. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, same for Peter as well. But I think that this goes, I would like to know, you guys watching right now, what do you guys prefer? Do you guys agree with our points? Yeah, I think it's always awesome to explore constraints, which we're going to do in my video, which you guys should click on the link in the description box below.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I do agree. Go and watch this video on the Kelsey's channel. And yeah, it was great talking to you. Let us know what do you think about the topic we've been talking about. And yeah.
Cool.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah. Bye.
Today's video has been a little bit different, so let me know what you think. And once again, thank you Kelsey for the collab. Go to Premier Gau's channel to check out the other video we've done together about shooting B-roll with constraints. Link in the description. And if that's your first time here, please watch the playlist I've put together with Premiere Pro tips and tricks. It was Peter. Until the next time, shoot and edit like there is no tomorrow.